Whiskey run on empty, now I'm on a roll. Same old road, but it's a different glow. Ain't nothing crazy, just a shift in gears. Funny how it all got clear. Used to think I had to chase the high. Now it finds me every time I try. Didn't see it coming like this. Now I'm right in the middle of it. I ain't saying I got it all, but I ain't missing what I thought. It's getting better than it should be. Little too good for a guy like me. Every door I used to push won't budge. Now they're opening up easy. Yeah, it's better than it used to feel. Like I finally got something real. If this is luck, I won't outrun what's finally right, what I've become. Too good, too right, can't lie, can't lie, can't lie. Too good, too good, can't lie, can't lie, can't lie. I ain't even gotta try. Used to trip on every little thing, now I let it ride, let it breathe. Got a way of working out somehow, even when I don't figure it out. Got my hands where they need to be, on the wheel, not chasing what I don't need. Everything just falls in place when you quit trying to race. I ain't saying it's perfect now, but I wouldn't change it out. It's getting better than it should be. Little too good for a guy like me. Every door I used to push won't budge. Now they're opening up easy. Yeah, it's better than it used to feel. Like I finally got something real. If this is luck, I won't outrun what's finally right, what I've become. Too good, too right, can't lie, can't lie, can't lie. Too good, can't lie, can't lie, can't lie. Didn't flip a switch, didn't make a scene. Just woke up living in a better dream. Now I don't chase what I can't keep. Got everything that's chasing me. It's getting better than it should be. Little too good for a guy like me. Every door I used to push won't budge. Now they're opening up easy. Yeah, it's better than it used to feel. Like I finally got something real. If this is luck, I won't outrun what's finally right, what I've become. Too good, too right, can't lie, can't lie, can't lie. Too good, can't lie, can't lie, can't lie.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome in to Apex News Above the Noise. I am Kyle Thompson.
I'm Craig Blanton.
Greg, we have a little bit of a different kind of show tonight. We started a little late tonight. Thank you all for joining us. We are coming to you about an hour later than normal because the roller coaster may be ending soon on the Tyran Stokes recruiting,
Recruiting saga.
Yeah. He has said that he's going to announce tonight at 6:30. Apparently, it's going to be on the NBA game tonight. So we will the pregame. So we'll see if that goes down. That should be right about 6:30. And so we will give you all the news and views up to that point. And when it comes across, we will be prepared to discuss it. But we are starting tonight with a story that is sending shockwaves through Washington again. And through the legal world and frankly through the political landscape of this country. Former FBI Director James Comey, the man at the center of some of the most explosive investigations in modern American political history, has now been indicted by a federal grand jury for allegedly making threats against President Donald Trump. The charges stem from a controversial social media post involving the numbers 8647, numbers prosecutors say were intended as a coded language suggesting harm toward the President of the United States. Comey has previously denied any violent meaning behind the post, saying it was political expression and nothing more. But federal prosecutors clearly see it differently. This is no small matter, Craig. He has been indicted on 2 different counts. The first one, threatening the president under federal law, and count 2, transmitting that threat across state lines through interstate commerce, in this case, social media. Both are serious felonies. And what makes this story even bigger, this is how the second federal indictment brought, this is now the second federal indictment brought against Comey in less than 1 year after a prior prosecution tied to congressional testimony was dismissed over legal questions surrounding the appointment of the prosecutor handling that case. So tonight the question becomes, is this accountability under the law, or is this the continued weaponization of justice against political enemies? Either way, one thing is certain. James Comey is back in the national spotlight. Craig, more specifically, when you step back and look at the history here, the firing of Comey in 2017, the Russia investigation fallout, years of public criticism of Trump, and now a federal indictment alleging threats against the president, this has all the makings of one of the most politically charged prosecutions we've seen, perhaps ever, but definitely in the last several years. Let's break down exactly what prosecutors are alleging and what your thoughts are on this. Obviously, when James Comey made this post several months ago, it caused a firestorm across the internet, and now it potentially is coming back to be prosecuted. Your thoughts on the entire saga that we're dealing with right now with James Comey?
Well, don't forget the FISA court abuses either. The line to the FISA court.
Yeah, but again, he hasn't been indicted on that at this point.
Right. I'm just saying, don't forget it. And as an interim, Stokes, NBA on ESPN, they've showed Stokes with his parents.
Okay.
So Shaq Stokes, but
apparently he's in Atlanta.
It's going to happen tonight.
Yeah, well,
so 86 means end. Like in restaurant terminology or in mafia term, he's 86. That means he's dead.
Right.
47 obviously indicates Trump is 47. And Comey just said he was walking along the beach and saw that. Now you're telling, and then the director of the FBI or former director, college educated, smart as can be, running the nation's police force. And this guy said he didn't know what that meant. He just thought it was cool. I mean, what a liar. What a total absolute liar.
Well, two things can be true here. One, he can be an absolute liar, and two, it may or may not be criminal. So it's one of those things. But I think the thing that is so shocking.
I'm not saying it's criminal. I'm just saying.
I understand.
The initial thing was he didn't know what it meant, but yet he thought it was cool. And take a picture.
Then why would it be cool if it would be, you just see a bunch of shells that make numbers? That doesn't even make sense. First of all, we're not that dumb, right? Like we know what's.
It's been on movies for 100 years.
Exactly. We know what this means, and it's clear that at the time it was some kind of meaning to President Trump. I think the other interesting thing about this is since he posted this several months ago, it's now a rallying cry. It's on tons of posters at the No Kings protests and things of that nature. So whether he meant it as just a silly joke, which is just a really dumb, stupid joke.
Well, I mean, Todd Blanche said today, the acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says, under no regards can you threaten to kill the president of the United States, regardless of who the president is.
Well, I think we talked about this yesterday, Craig. I mean, we've lost all perspective when it comes to the things that you say and do. And just as an aside, can you imagine, just for a second, imagine if the former director of the FBI under President Bush had posted on Instagram 8644.
Yeah, right.
8644. He would already be in prison on a life term for threatening
forever. Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, that people can say what they want about, well, this isn't an actual threat or anything else. if anyone had threatened President Obama, President Clinton, Hillary Clinton, anything of that nature, people would be buried under, the
Right.
FBI.
And that's Joe Citizen you're talking about. This is the director of the FBI. I mean, there's no way this can be excused and not seen as a threat.
It goes back to what we were talking about yesterday as well with regard to the rhetoric. And I've seen that same piece that you and I talked about several times yesterday, but Jamie Raskin saying, what rhetoric would that be? The most tone deaf statement I've ever heard in my life. Jamie Raskin saying that. But this is the rhetoric. I mean, this is exactly the rhetoric that we're talking about. We're not talking about something where somebody says, I really don't like the president. James Comey is saying, we should end the presidency.
Correct.
And that's
specific president.
Yeah, he's not just saying, any president. He's saying a specific president. The other thing that you have to understand is the history between these individuals. And James Comey was I don't believe this is the last time he will face criminal issues. And I do believe that the lying to the FISA court was important, especially because of his braggadocious nature afterwards, where we've all seen the video of him sitting at a conference talking about, and they say, well, how did you send a couple of agents in there? And he said, I just did it. I mean, he admits that he did it. He admits that he lied to the FISA court to get the information to perpetuate the Russia hoax. And it's just one of those things where if you have people at the highest levels doing this to a presidency, then it's not surprising that you have individuals in the general public who believe it's okay to make generalized threats and even actions of threats against the presidency.
Especially the mentally ill that are walking around.
100%.
Like the guy yesterday. Well, I don't know if the guy yesterday was or not, but there's been shown that many of the others have mental issues that have came at the president or other elected officials or governors, Supreme Court justices, all of that. This is unprecedented. I'm just keep looking at this TV. This is unprecedented. What we're going through the last 5 or 6 or 10 years this is, we're not like Mexico where we're just bumping off judges right and left.
Right. Well,
we're not far from it.
Yeah. Neil Gorsuch and his family were threatened. I mean, and Kavanaugh as well.
Kavanaugh, they went to his house.
Yeah. Yeah. They had to move his family and it's definitely scary and no one deserves that. Ketanji Brown Jackson doesn't deserve people harassing her in places. Joe Biden and his family don't deserve people harassing them in the general public. That is not what political discourse in this country is about. And it's sad that we've gotten to this point.
Well, it's not American, for sure.
It's not.
I mean, that's the thing is how we're acting now is definitely not American. By threatening all these public officials, right and left, going after their kids, going after their wives, searching their underwear drawers. I mean, this crap it's beyond ridiculous.
I cannot imagine if the shoe was on the other foot in this particular case. But
what if a well-known Republican political official? What if Pete Hegseth did that?
Oh, I mean,
or Dan Bongino, one of those guys did it.
Again, if they had done this to President Obama and his wife, or I can't imagine Jimmy Kimmel saying to Michelle Obama, "You look like an expectant widow."
Right.
He would not only be canceled off the air, he would be facing criminal charges on that previous.
And he played it off today, saying that because President Trump's 80 and Melania is younger than him, which I don't know how old he is. That's why, and she's an expectant widow.
Yeah.
And then Hakeem Jeffries stood by defiantly with his warfare comment against the Republican Party.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you
that kind of language? As they love to say, words have meaning, except as long as they come from the left, they're okay.
Exactly.
They come from the left, it's bad.
Yeah, from one historic figure facing indictment to another making history in Washington. Today, King Charles and Queen Camilla arrived in Washington for one of the most symbolically important diplomatic visits in modern Anglo-American history, capped by King Charles becoming only the second British monarch ever to address a joint meeting of Congress following his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, who delivered her historic congressional address in 1991. Interesting, by the way, Craig, that it was actually during the 250th anniversary of our
Right.
independence. And his message today was clear: the alliance between America and Britain remains essential, not just historically, but strategically, economically, and militarily for the future. In remarks that were part statesmanship, part history lesson, and part diplomatic olive branch, King Charles repeatedly emphasized what he called the irreplaceable and unbreakable bond between the United Kingdom and the United States. He reminded Congress that these two nations have been through revolution, world wars, terror attacks, financial crises, and global instability, and yet time and time again have found ways to stand shoulder to shoulder. Some of the key points from his speech, Craig, and I know that you're going to have an opinion on this. First was NATO and defense cooperation. Charles strongly reaffirmed the importance of the NATO alliance and made clear Britain remains committed to standing with the U.S. in collective defense, including continued support for Ukraine, its war against Russia. And that was a subtle but unmistakable signal that London wants Washington fully engaged globally, not retreating inward. And second, democracy and institutions matter. This is kind of interesting. I'm definitely going to want to hear your thoughts on this. He praised Americans' constitutional checks and balances, speaking warmly of democratic institutions, rule of law, and representative government, themes that drew bipartisan applause in the chamber. That message wasn't accidental. It was carefully crafted to remind both nations and of their alliance that it is built not simply on economics or military power, but on shared political values. The third issue was about the economy and technological partnerships. Behind the ceremony is hard policy intelligence sharing through the Five Eyes Alliance, billions in bilateral trade, defense manufacturing partnerships, AI and cyber cooperation, and shared energy and security concerns. And the translation to that, Craig, is Britain wants to remain America's closest strategic partner in the Western world, even as Europe, China, Russia, and the Middle East tensions reshape the global order. And maybe most importantly, Charles delivered a message of reconciliation. Here's the irony, though, Craig. America was born by breaking away from the British crown 250 years ago. And now,
motherland.
yeah, and now in America's 250th anniversary year, the King of Britain is standing in Congress celebrating friendship, alliance, and common purpose. That history is coming full circle. Your thoughts on the King's speech today?
Well, he sees that there is a split developing because of Starmer and all his rhetoric and other issues that he's been slamming America with. Yeah, the divide is there. There is a crack. There's no doubt about it. And King Charles coming to America today is, regardless what anybody says, that's pretty damn cool. Seeing, having a king and seeing both sides of Congress applaud many times when he spoke. You rarely see that anymore either. So England is nothing without us right now. We talked about their Navy. It's just a shell of what it was where they used to rule the seas. Now, we protect England just like we protect Canada. And because neither one's got any kind of real military. So it was great to see the king here, to see him talk in harmony, because you're not hearing much of that out of England today. You're hearing it from the citizens, but you're not hearing it from their leaders. At least, the stuff you see on YouTube. They want to be partners with America, but it seems the leadership, I don't know what in the heck has got in the water over there in London, but something's messing it up.
Well, I think it's decades of open borders in England. I think it's decades of liberal ideology that has made them believe that they could stand on their own. Obviously, they can't. And now you have the King of England quietly trying to remind America that we're your oldest ally. In a dangerous world, you still need your friends. But I guess the real question is, with growing isolationist sentiment here at home, does that message resonate at all with either the American people or even those in Congress?
It could, if England's leaders would quit bashing America, their child, they're our motherland. If they would quit bashing America, I think Americans would embrace England more. but because of all the stuff going on over there in London, especially, where they're just constantly, the newspapers and everything are constantly bashing America, it's going to be hard to see. We need England. I mean, we don't really need England, but historically we do.
We do, although I also believe that what you have seen, especially from the Trump administration and those handling the economic side of things, is that there has been a reset of the economic policy and the economic cornerstones in geopolitics right now. So, you have had a situation where for the last 500 years, Britain has essentially controlled economic policy in the West. And over the last probably 20 years, and especially over the last 12 years, you have seen a shift in that. And it is a major shift. And a lot of people don't understand the historic nature of that. Britain ran the world economy in the West when it comes to essentially capitalism and things of that nature. Obviously, America,
for hundreds of years.
Yeah, for 500 years. And now the United States is level setting, saying we are the ones that are setting economic policy. And when it comes to the West, we will determine what sentiments are raised when it comes to geopolitics and the economy. And I think Europe, I think part of the struggle that we're having with NATO and our European allies is because they don't like that idea. They don't like the idea that America is as strong as it is economically. I read all of the Twitter trolls and all of the, it's quite hilarious. A lot of people saying, America is not as powerful as it used to be. Without Europe, you're this, you're that. That is a joke.
That is 100% joke.
Yeah, it's not even close to being true. So you have the leader of Britain coming to Congress and saying, you need us because we are your oldest ally. But the way I read that and the way I heard it was, we really need you. And you got to remember that, we've been through a lot together. Don't forget your best friends. We kind of need you right now. And I think that the real level set will be when there are parliamentary elections, whenever that may be. And I think you will see the conservatives take over in England. I think you'll probably see the conservatives take over in Germany. And when that happens, we may or may not have a conservative in power here in the United States. That those things usually ebb and flow opposite of each other. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this works. I think the other thing about this is that, right now, England is in such terrible position when it comes to its own domestic policy. Not just Keir Starmer, who is a historically unpopular leader.
And terrible. He's terrible leader.
Yeah, he has absolutely terrible. Him and Carney out of Canada just have the absolute worst domestic policies for domestic leaders. And it's almost like there's this olive branch, with Charles coming over here and saying, hey, we still really need you.
Well, and I don't know if you saw it today, but President Xi Jinping out of China, he threatened Europe. The European Union said, don't go Eurocentric, because they're talking about developing their own economies with their own countries. I don't know what China could do to stop them other than the rare earth minerals. That's the one hold they've the planet, the processing of it. But if England and the EU get back together, and if they do from their own economy, that's going to do nothing but benefit the United States, because we'll still be trading partners, and it hurts China. And that's why China's getting involved in it now. President Trump said a story today that his mother loved the Queen of England. His mother had a crush on Prince Charles. And then today, Trump did nothing but praise the king and his wife, the king and the queen. So, the olive branches were shared back and forth today, which I think is a good thing, because I think England's, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But we are the top of the world. Like you said earlier today, we rule the seas. We definitely rule the air. We rule outer space. We're it. This is the top of America ever being the world power as it is. China can say all their stuff, and Russia can say all their stuff, but We saw in Venezuela, China's radar didn't stop us from getting what's his face out of there.
Maduro.
Maduro, yeah, it didn't hinder us a lick. And now Russia says they're going to send stuff to Iran. Well, they did, and it didn't hinder us a lick. So we are the world power by far.
Well, and I think we'll get into our next story, but I think that the reality is that when we talked about the fact that, you know, the next world war will probably be an economic world war. And I think that that's all China can see at this point, is that if the United States controls all the energy throughout the world, that either they will have to fight for their existence, or they will have to bend the knee. And I think that's where we're going with this. Craig and I are both looking off screen here to see if any announcements.
The announcements coming. But one last thing, China, they mine. I mean, they don't mine, but they process the rare earth minerals. We, the United States, have two of the largest lithium and other rare earth mineral deposits on the planet, but they're just in the wrong states. Environmental regulations and lawsuit after lawsuit from environmentalists stopping that stuff from being mined, and that makes us dependent on China. Which, again, I don't understand these people. Why they want us to be dependent on China for anything.
Well, there's simply just not a global view of how positions work. You know, I want to save the spotted owl. It may be your position, but by cutting off pipelines and things of that nature, it makes us beholden to other countries when it comes to energy resources. So, I mean, there has to be a holistic view of these things, and they're just not able to do that.
We shut off their fuel. Bye-bye, China.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if King Charles' speech was about diplomacy, alliances, and stability, what we're about to discuss next is the exact opposite: geopolitical pressures, economic collapse, and a Middle East powder keg that may be nearing a breaking point. President Donald Trump said today that Iran has privately informed the United States that it is in what he called a, quote, state of collapse. And according to Trump, Tehran is now urgently asking Washington to lift the naval blockade on the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible. This is a stunning development if true. We talked about this yesterday, though, and we kind of predicted this. Remember, the Strait of Hormuz is not just another waterway. Roughly 1/5 of the world's oil, 20% of the oil supply across the world, normally moves through that narrow shipping lane. It's one of the most strategically important choke points on planet Earth. And since the U.S. blockade began earlier this month, Iran's economy has reportedly been squeezed to the breaking point. Oil exports are heavily restricted. Storage tanks are nearing capacity. In fact, I read a story just as we were about to go on the air, Craig, that said that they are at capacity, that at this point, they have oil sitting in tankers outside of refinery. They're all full. They have nowhere to go.
They're bringing tankers in now to try to take their excess oil, because their oil farms, the storage tanks, they're completely 100% full.
Yeah, they are losing billions of dollars in GDP daily, and increasing reports of internal division with Iran's leadership structure. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has also publicly suggested Washington believes Tehran's internal political instability is becoming a major factor in stalled negotiations, adding fuel to the argument that maximum pressure may be working. But there's one giant caveat with this, Craig. Iran has not publicly confirmed anything that Trump has claimed, and multiple outlets reporting on the president's statement know that there is no independent verification yet of how this alleged message was conveyed. So now the question becomes, is Iran truly blinking, or is this a negotiation leverage? I will tell you this, what I heard from Vice President J.D. Vance and from the Secretary of State Marco Rubio over the weekend was, when they get into these negotiations and then these meetings, that there is absolutely nothing that is giving them any indication that the guys there are the ones who can make any decisions.
Right. Yeah.
The people across the table, they're arguing with each other.
Right. Yeah. We talked earlier about I guess you liken it to U.S. You got the administrative, the legislative people, and then you got the military. The legislative people are the ones that are trying to negotiate with the United States and Pakistan. But the head of the IRGC, he's condemning, stopping, stopping the discussions. He's not allowing them, I guess, by threat, to not go to Pakistan. So you're correct. There's internal strife big time. They've got the economic problems. They're going to run out of food. They're already running out of water. Their reservoirs are down to, many of them, around 10 or 12%. The ones around Tehran are down to 3%, and many of the other outer reservoirs are down to the dead level, meaning either the water's not good enough to use, or it's so low they can't get it out of the reservoir. So all these factors together, and we're just sitting back waiting by that blockade. Something's going to fall. It might fall without us shooting another missile at all in Iran. It just might internally collapse.
Yeah, and I think that's the realistically what is actually going to happen. Craig, we have to go ahead and go into UK sports. Are you ready for this? I have breaking news.
Okay, let's go.
Craig, I have breaking news.
I
have breaking news right now. Surprisingly, Justin McBride has just announced that he is attending the University of Kentucky.
Oh,
He
cool.
has committed. The James Madison forward, big body, the guy that we really wanted out of all of this. He was off the board, Craig. This guy was. They had given up that he was not coming. They thought, especially now that they had pulled Njai, that maybe he was looking other places. But Justin McBride has just agreed that he is going to sign with the University of Kentucky. That is a big pickup for Mark Pope.
That's huge.
I can't imagine that this hurts the Tyran Stokes decision, although you would imagine that he's already made his decision at this point. Maybe this doesn't make that hurt as bad, if you will, if he decides to go to Kansas. He's a big body who can shoot. We thought as of Saturday that he may announce. In fact, we thought there would be an announcement at any second at that point. At the end of last week, all the way through this week, and hadn't heard anything. And now he has agreed that he is coming. And so that's a big get for the University of Kentucky.
That's huge. Right on the precipice of Stokes making his announcement. This, along with we've talked about the Singhalese guy. We watched video of him again today. We're going to have a huge front court, and we're going to have wings that can shoot. And Stokes could be the cherry on top. But if not, I think we'll still be okay next year, long as Pope can mend these guys together into a team concept.
Yeah, and that leads us to the most important aspect. I got to get it over to the NBA tip-off that's coming on. But that takes us to the real question of the day, which is absolutely going to be where Tyran Stokes decides he is going to play his college basketball. Stokes checks every box that scouts dream about. He's 6'7". He's 230 pounds. He is an elite wing with size, explosive athleticism, high-level ball handling, physical downhill attacker, and the kind of passing vision that makes him a matchup nightmare at every level. He passes it just as well as he shoots, and he shoots fantastic. Recruiting services across the country have him as the #1 overall player in America. He is the number one small forward, #1 player in Washington State by composite rankings, and the production backs it up. At Rainier Beach High School this season, Stokes put together monster performances, including a jaw-dropping 63 points in a high school game for his senior night performances, breaking the school scoring record, obviously. On the international stage with USA Basketball, as a 18-year-old kid, or 17 at the time when he was playing with him, 12.3 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 5.6 assists against elite world competition at the FIBA U17 World Cup. Numbers that shows he's much more than a scorer. He's a complete player. The praise from scouts has been loud. 24/7 Sports describes him as an elite, physically dominant two-way wing with NBA-ready traits, while recruiting analysts consistently call him a future top overall NBA draft candidate. Talking #1. This is This is the
Right.
big
Already.
this is the biggest get maybe since John Wall, Anthony Davis. This is the kind of transformational player that you have here, and he has taken his time in making this decision. And now we are at that point where it is essentially down to three teams. It's the University of Kentucky, the University of Kansas, and the University of Oregon. Most recruiting insiders believe it's down to Kentucky and Kansas. The only thing that has Oregon in the mix right now is this idea that he's playing that money from Nike, and maybe that's where he ends up. I mean, we could all be surprised by that. But here's why it matters. If Kentucky lands Tyran Stokes, that is a statement signing. And I'm telling you, if you add that to Justin McBride that just came out today, all of a sudden, all of these whiffs that people were upset about, they all go away. All of those comments and naysayers go away, Craig.
Well, could it be back to the Richie Farmer, not untouchables, what were they called, the 92 team?
The Unforgettables.
Unforgettables, yeah, because after 2 bad years, we had the bad year, and then Patino brought them in, and this is the start of Pope's run. By getting these players, they'll start talking. Other teams will see that UK can land and put players in the NBA with the backing of the fans. This could be the start. This really could be the start, but it could also be another huge letdown if Stokes goes to Kansas or Oregon.
If they get him, everybody forgets. If they miss, it raises hard questions again about what
it's going to be bad.
We are checking out the board. The tip-off game is Atlanta at New York. He is in Atlanta. He played in a game yesterday or this weekend with Atlanta. He's still there. So that's going to be the big question. I just got a text message that is telling me that Trilly Donovan, one of the inside sources on college basketball, says that 98% of people are saying that it's Kansas, but there are 2 good sources for him saying it's the other way, which he says is kind of annoying. So I guess we are back to that waiting. So I think
putting on a bag of money.
Yeah, well,
you see it.
Yeah, Shaq putting a bag of money up there. There it is.
God, I hope he signs with Kentucky.
What if it's going to be fun to have the big Aristotle here on campus?
He'll be there with his daughter during the UK games. I'm sure he will fly in when he can. That's just going to make the campus go crazy because he loves engaging young people.
Yeah, one of the things that people have knocked on Pope over the last few years is that he hasn't been able to get that big get, that 4 or 5 star athlete. And this would be a big get for him, the biggest get of possible. But I think then you can kind of. I will also say this is make or break. You get Stokes, and you don't get a Final Four appearance or have an SEC championship caliber season. That may be it for you, for Coach Pope. You're gonna have to do something with the team if you get a team put together.
Yeah, this will be the fans are burned out on this drama. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But there's still hope that we can get him, and there's hope for Pope, and if we can get him, it'll just be a great season to look forward to for basketball because we're already looking forward to women's basketball. We're definitely looking forward to football, and then this will be the icing on the cake. And I think he's supposed to have done this at 6:30.
Well,
it's just 6:37. I lost track.
Like with anything in this saga, him coming out right at 6:30,
and they might lose some viewers if they don't. Once he announces,
100%. I mean, they're gonna bleed this a little bit too. This is great for ratings. I mean, I understand it's the Knicks and the Hawks, and those are 2 big markets, but you're adding 1 million more eyes right now, all from the state.
And think how fast UK will be next season if they got Stokes and that single East player and the guards we got. This team will not lack for speed anywhere on the court, and our defense should just be smothering because most of these players are good defenders too.
Well, and if you with Justin McBride now, and if you get Stokes, you have a full team. I mean,
Yeah,
you essentially have 6 or 7 guys that can play. Obviously, with McBride coming in, that is a big get as a backup to help out Moreno inside. But you still want to see some other guys that are going to come in and be big bodies. I think Braden Hawthorne's going to be big. I think Reese Potter will help out with that. So I think we're just
Cam Williams is still starting.
and Cam Williams would still be starting at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
he is the shooter of the group right now.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they
So
are
they're in a commercial break now.
they're going to commercial break. So we're gonna have to wait
Yeah.
and see. I thought it was interesting that KSR just came on and said that they will go live at 7 p.m. So maybe they know something we don't know. That's
Maybe it's going to be right before they go to the game.
It could be. I mean, the
Yeah.
tip-off's at 7:10, so it's entirely possible that they
Yeah.
have that. Let's talk a little bit about, who they have right now and what that means. We'll start with who Kentucky has already brought into the fold. The headline edition until we had Justin McBride a few minutes ago,
Mhm.
the headline edition was Ousmane Ndiaye, a 6'11" stretch big from Senegal, by way of Italy's top professional league. Last season, playing for Vanoli Cremona in Italy's Series A, Ndiaye averaged 10.2 points, 6.7 rebounds, nearly 1 steal a game. He shot 32% from 3, which is nothing to sneeze at when you're, nearly 7 feet
11.
tall.
Yeah.
And that's the modern big Mark Pope that he's been coveting. He wants one of these guys. He wants somebody, an overseas international player that plays that fast pace and is a passer and scorer, not just a big post guy, somebody that can shoot from anywhere. Kentucky believes he fills a major front court need immediately. Kentucky also added Zoom Diallo, a dynamic guard from the University of Washington, Alex Wilkins, a productive wing scorer from Furman, and prep signees Mason Williams and Zion Hawthorne, who give Pope developmental upside as well. The other thing that they're talking to a kid named Ryan Hampton, who is he is a junior in high school right now, but he is a candidate to reclassify, meaning that he has the ability to become a 2026 player as opposed to 2027. It's odd that this late in the recruiting process that Pope is having an in-home visit with a kid like this, but because he qualifies to reclassify and he is a shooter,
Right.
and his brother was also a recruit for the University of Kentucky. It's not surprising, but it's interesting that they would go to this young kid. 95% of the decent players are gone at this point. So,
well, I'm wondering.
Out there.
Go ahead.
No, I think they have to kind of see what all options are at this point.
Well, I think we've learned the lesson. We lost several players by our commitment early on to Stokes, and now Pope is continuing to recruit whether he gets Stokes or not. So I think they learned the lesson of just waiting, because Stokes kept putting everybody off, and they were throwing around $6 million and $8 million a year kind of numbers, and still weren't able to land the 17 or 18-year-old kid.
Stupid numbers.
Yeah, stupid numbers, but if it is what it is. But they're back now from commercial.
Yeah,
Oh, there it is. Hold on, turn it up.
Right now, we are waiting for an announcement from Tyran Stokes. And
See what hat he puts on, or he opens his jacket.
Yeah. We are waiting with bated breath like everyone else.
He's talking to Kenny the Jet right now. They're playing it out hard.
Don't blame him one bit. I mean, this is the one chance he gets to do this. He is wearing a black zip-up hoodie.
Right. That's why I'm thinking he's going to pull his shirt open like Superman.
Lights all over it.
Think about this. This 17-year-old is with Shaq and Charles and Kenny the Jet. Kenny's got 2 NBA championships.
Be a multi-millionaire for 8 months of work.
Kenny's got 2 championships. Shaq's got 4. And Kenny and Shaq are in the top 50 all-time NBA players. And then he's talking the greatest announcer ever, Ernie.
He's got a couple of boxes in front of him, so we're going to have to see what he...
I hope Shaq put pressure of UK on him because his daughter's there.
Ernie is now asking
you
him
go.
to walk him through the process.
I got my first offer, I think, going into high school, so 8th grade summer. So ever since then, just having like college coaches talk to me, having
You're about 10 seconds ahead of me, Craig. I can hear yours before
Oh,
you.
are you on the internet?
I'm on the internet. I'm on
Okay, I'm on TV.
Hulu.
So if I scream, you know what it is. He's pretty reserved right now.
He is very reserved, opposite of his on-court persona.
Yeah.
Very well spoken.
Here we go.
Yeah, I dropped the top 3, I think, in November. So, for me, I would say those.
The anticipation's killing me.
Yeah, I tell you what, this is a big deal for the University of Kentucky. So we are
Yeah.
waiting with bated breath to find out who Tyran Stokes chooses.
Kenny going again.
He went from like being like, oh, he's one of
Talking about him in the 7th grade.
7th grade, they were like, no, he's not the player. 7th grade. How did you keep your focus?
I hope is on Rondo's kid too.
The producer is telling Kenny, I need you to ask another question. We need to believe our
Drag
numbers
it on.
are fantastic right now online. Everyone in Kentucky and Lawrence, Kansas is watching this.
Yeah.
I look at it as just a number. A bunch of people's opinions. Me, I know I gotta keep working.
I haven't seen him this reserved on anything.
I have not either, but it gives me hope that if this
Yeah.
is the guy who's handling the ball most of the time.
That's where my game go. Recognize me, but being the number 1 player in the country is just a label that I don't really. It's a good label. I mean, it's a great label to have, but
Yeah, I'm not in the NBA yet, but he will definitely be there probably in this time next year.
Yeah.
I do like that being the number 1 player in the
Check
country.
this. Oh.
For those of you who are just joining us, we are anticipating and waiting with bated breath to see who Tyran Stokes announces where he will be playing basketball next year. So this is a big deal for the.
We're minutes away.
Yeah.
What we've been waiting on for a month and a half.
The roller coaster is about to end, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for joining us as we're trying to
There's his mother.
figure it out as much as everybody else.
Yeah, they're milking the clock now. It's the end of the game, and they're up by 30. They're just milking the clock.
And they barely talked about the game that's about to happen. It's a big game for.
Yeah. Right, here we go.
Let's find out exactly who he's going to choose at this point.
My partners, getting this opportunity. Great company, great trading cards. I got, some for you guys. You pass that down. Okay.
Oh, he brought everybody a gift.
Yes, indeed. Could be worth a lot of money. Yes, indeed. We're gonna hold these. Definitely hold these.
Got his hand on the blue box.
Hey.
Well, Kansas is blue, and UK is blue.
But first, I would like to thank God.
He flipped the box over.
Put me in this position.
I don't got my glasses on. What's that yellow box, the black box say?
It says Panini on it.
Panini.
Yeah.
Let that ball take me all across the world.
This is like LeBron going to Miami.
It is going to take his talents to.
Here we go. He's untying something white.
I heard he say, "Hold on."
The box.
Oh, you gotta get the shades on for the look.
Yeah, it says it's brown.
There's the personality.
Oh, he's doing it like an Oscar Academy Award.
It's blue and white. I mean, you can't tell.
It was wrapped in a blue box and a white ribbon. Then he takes out another blue box. He's going to Kansas. Is that what that says? Yeah,
Rock chalk.
going to Kansas.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts. Oh, it's his 2K.
great advice.
Good for him. Good for you, young man. Now Kentucky can simply move on from the Tyran Stokes sweepstakes, and we can move on from there.
Yeah,
Uh,
Stay
know-
off internet tonight because the
Yeah,
UK fans
yeah.
are going to be blistering.
Well, it makes the Justin McBride announcement
Even bigger.
it makes a lot more sense at this point, almost as if Pope and those guys may have known something and delayed that
Yep.
announcement.
To try to counteract it a little bit.
Yeah, and Kentucky has whiffed on Mika Murinen. They have Baylor transfer. Yusofo has said that
Pope got.
he's going to go.
Patino.
He's Donnie Freeman, who has ended up
Yeah.
at St. John's. Now you add in the Tyran Stokes issues. Listen, Big Blue Nation, do not jump off not jump off any bridges
at all.
because
we still got a team.
Listen, let me tell you about what Kansas had this year. They had a kid who was the number one recruit, and he played 12 games and not even very much in those games. So this was an 8-month rental, and this kid could sit out for 8 months for all we know. So we have some guys coming in, some older guys who are prepared to play. We got some younger guys as well. So at this point, I don't know. Kansas doesn't have much of a team, so it's this is going to be all him all day with the ball at Kansas. And you add in Mika Murinen going to the University of Arkansas as well. So there's going to be some naysayers and saying Pope missed out on some big guys. The guys that Pope does have coming in are team guys. They are all guys who are double-digit scorers, and big names at this point. So
better shooters than what we had last year.
Way better shooters than what we had, and we're keeping our best shooters. But for Captain Clutch, he's going back to BYU. Right. It appears with the announcement yesterday by the NCAA that he will end up that Otega Owe will not get that 5th year that we were hoping. So Kentucky at this point, he and Mark Pope, they are recruiting at a high level, but there are a couple of pieces they're still going to need here, Craig.
Well, and like you said, Kansas, he can be a one-man team at Kansas. He can be the superstar for the whole state and for 2 states, really, Missouri and Kansas. But Kentucky's bigger than that, and our fans will be disappointed tonight. I'll be on the pages watching it, and I'll be on YouTube watching the fan reactions. I hope they're not brutal. Well, we've got a decent team now.
I believe now with McBride, I think if you add the kid from Washington State, we announced yesterday that Jerome Morton was coming to the University of Kentucky. That paperwork has not been signed, and we're waiting for an announcement from the University of Kentucky.
That'd be another good get.
Yeah, but we're in that. We're kind of in that waiting game to see what else is out there. I'm already getting.
You want a team of 12 to 15 point scorers, or one guy that's going to get 28 a game?
Oh, I mean the best teams. Look at Michigan last year. They were all averaging between 9 and 17 points, and that's what wins you championships. I will say though that Mark Pope and those guys, I saw a difference in the last 10 days in their recruiting efforts. It was almost like they were already pivoting hard into the, what do we do if this doesn't go down the way that we want it? But this is going to affect whether Jamal Crawford comes onto the staff.
I was going to ask you about that. Have you heard anything if Pope is still recruiting Crawford? Because
yeah, I mean,
he'd be a great coach.
He would still be a great coach, and while he may not have landed Stokes, I think that it still gives you the opportunity to have a legitimate, along with Mo Williams, a legitimate former NBA player that understands how the league works and how development works.
Yeah, NBA champion player.
This is not the end all be all. I'm already getting text messages. I see Carter Gilbert. Carter Gilbert's already messaged me. He wants to fire Pope, and there's others out there, I'm sure, who are upset.
Oh yeah, it's going to be fun tonight.
A lot of folks need to remember that Tyran Stokes was a Kansas signee months ago. Like from the beginning, he was going to Kansas. The only hang up, and I honestly don't know how you work it out, is Kansas is an Adidas school. Now, I heard late this afternoon that Kansas is going to allow him to wear Nike, and that even his uniform is going to be Nike. Although then I heard later on that Adidas should not allow that, and
Right.
Adidas
There's no way Adidas will allow that.
No,
There's
no.
no way. They wouldn't allow the NBA players to do it.
No.
Remember during the Olympics when they would put a towel over their
cover. They had a
right.
So,
we had a couple messages on here. How long the Stokes decision, but I didn't see it. And then the other one from Tracy Pearson, does McBride committing hurt the possibility of Stokes coming to UK? I don't think it did. I just think that it added. Pope was already looking beyond Stokes not coming. He probably already knew. I think the honorable thing would have been to tell Pope that he's not coming to Kentucky. But I don't think it hurt it.
I'm not convinced, Craig, that that we didn't know that the Justin McBride announcement as we were going on the air, as we moved into our Kentucky segment, that's why I shifted as quickly as we did. And looking back on it, something tells me that they've known that's
what I think too.
And they were holding the McBride, and again, McBride was off the board, you all. Justin McBride was not discussed over the last 7 days. It was
at least a week. Yeah,
he whiffed again on McBride. It's like we thought, what in the world's going on? I think they've known for the last week, and that's a great question, Tracy. I think at the end of the day, I think it's one of those things where they've known, and that's why they're pivoting at this point. I also think that's why they were with Ryan Hampton, trying to get him to convince him to reclassify. Now, Ryan Hampton is a young kid, but he's a dynamic scorer. He's an individual that he's not proven yet, but he can score. And he's played against Tyran Stokes, and they lit the board up in AAU games. So this is there's another hidden gem that they might find. And look, I know I've said this a bunch of times, but last year Michigan had nobody on the team that was a known commodity that was going to be an NBA stud, right? Michigan had 5 guys from a bunch of different schools. Yaxel Lindenborg played at Western Arizona Community College for 2 years. I mean, and now he's 6'8", and he's the most dominant player, in at the end of the year in the tournament. He's going to be a draft pick and all these things. They had Mara, who was from Spain and ended up going to UCLA, and he scored 3 points at UCLA, and then goes to Michigan, and he's just a world beater.
Like 17 a game then, isn't it?
I mean, and so many blocks. I mean, I can't tell you how many blocks. He had 100 blocks in one season, which is the all-time record at the University of Michigan and Big Ten record.
Yeah.
So they put together a bunch of guys who were, I guess you could call them journeymen. I mean, some of those guys, it was their 3rd and 4th team. So, before Lindenborg got there, he was at Western Arizona, and then he went to UAB, and he was not. I mean, he scored 17 at UAB, but let's be honest, it's UAB. So these guys are vetting who they are bringing in here, and I haven't lost hope that Pope and those guys don't know what they're doing. At the same time, I'll give some credit to Carter Gilbert here as well. He made a good point today. Donnie Freeman wanted $4 million from the University of Kentucky, and he's been injured. He's been injured a lot. So this coaching staff knows what they have to accomplish next year. And if you have a lot of injuries or anything of that nature, they're not going to overpay for you at this point.
And remember back to the December slate of games when it looked like the players were playing individually.
Yes.
And all the fans were going nuts because whoever rebounded the ball ended up shooting the ball at the other end. Maybe they learned on this recruiting deal that they've got to hire people that want to be a team instead of individual star to try to show off their stuff onto the NBA. That's what I think has happened here with the signings he's had in the last 5 or 6 days. I agree. He already knew Stokes wasn't coming to Kentucky.
Yeah.
So he started going after all these other players, and I still say that Senegalese player, he might be the unicorn of this year's recruiting class.
Yeah, I totally agree. Once he was announced, I was like, who is this guy? But then when you watch the guy, and I think UK fans will be really excited about a guy who, and you add Justin McBride. You have 2 guys who are not Mo Diabate and they're not Brandon Garrison. That should excite both of you because these guys dunk the basketball, and
And
maybe
can shoot from far.
and can shoot from outside, even a mid-range jumper. So you have guys who are not afraid to go in and do something at the rack, and maybe that'll help Malachi Moreno as well. But the roster still needs a couple things. The roster needs a star piece. Now I don't know who that star piece is out there, but you need something, and they need a proven wing scorer. And maybe that's bringing in Hampton or somebody like that. And they need somebody else who's up until 30 minutes ago, they needed one more front court rotation player, and they got that.
And we got that. Yeah.
So the three that they needed, one of them's off the board. It would have been nice to have somebody that would have taken those other two, off the board for us. It didn't happen. Got to move on. It's not a big deal. And again, Big Blue Nation, you could have paid $8 million and had a guy sitting on the bench for half of your games very easily. Very, very easily.
I'm not disappointed with this team over these last few signings.
No.
I think Pope has filled in the hole, and now he's standing on top of it. And we're going to have a pretty decent team next year.
I think you will
start off the year.
I think what you will see is that in the next few days, probably, well, it may even be in the next 24 hours, you will see Kentucky add a couple more players who were probably waiting to see if money was going to free at that point. And now you're talking about, $8 million potentially dollars freeing up for some guys who, are good players, not good players, great players. Maybe they're not Tyran Stokes good, but they are great players. And on a team, that's what you need. Again, look at Michigan. Look what Michigan
team.
Yeah. Michigan was a team. They were a complete team, and that's what you have to have. I mean, Duke had great players this year. UConn had a couple of great players. Michigan had the best team, and that's what won.
Look at last year's Duke team. What did they have on last year's Duke team? The year before, they had the NBA Rookie of the Year,
right?
And they had the number 2 vote getter in NBA Rookie of the Year on the same team.
Yeah, but if that's all you have,
and Kentucky beat them.
Yeah, and absolutely. But the flip side of that is, I don't think with this team that's coming in and the guys who have stuck around, you're not going to have a 40-point beatdown by Gonzaga. I mean, you're just not. No. This is going to be a better team.
Yeah, I think so.
Is it a top 10 team? I don't know. It's a top 25 team, and I already know that people are going to be in our inbox saying we don't accept top 25. Hey, if you're in the top 25, you fight your way up to. Michigan wasn't the number 1 team consensus to start off with. They were in the top 5, but work your way up. I think that this will be a really good team, and I think when you analyze the different pieces that they're having here, you're going to be surprised at how good this team is.
That's what everybody's going to do. They're going to start picking these players and picking them apart, looking at them, and I think in the end they'll be satisfied with what we've got.
I think you'll be actually surprised. This will be a better team than we had last year.
I don't think there's any doubt of that already.
Yeah.
The only thing if ice cold, what'd you call him, Mr. Clutch? If he'd stayed, Captain Clutch, if he'd have stayed, been different. But we've replaced him, I think, with just as many shooters. But he was our main outside shooter that we had to count on last year, him and Oweh. And I think we've got more than just those two this year.
Yeah, I think you will, and I'm looking forward to it. But again, we don't know what that final lineup's going to look like. So we will wait over the next few days and see what happens. If Ryan Hampton reclassifies, that is a big deal for the University of Kentucky and where they go from here. Anything else you want to add before we hop off here tonight?
No, just a little disappointed, but still got a whole lot of happiness to look forward to.
That's right. I mean, there's so much to look forward to in Big Blue Nation. Kansas ain't winning the national championship with that team. I'm telling you right now, they ain't winning the national championship. Not with that team they have right now.
Got 1 or 2 players, and that's it.
Yeah. So we have a lot to be excited about, Big Blue Nation. And by the way, football season's right around the corner. And how exciting is that going to be, right?
Is the UK's basketball? It's not out for next year yet, is it?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'm going to see if Kansas is on there.
It would be fun, right?
Let's see if it's got anything. I'm looking right now.
Well, while you're looking at that.
Yeah, November 10, 2026. We play Kansas. That's going to be fun.
Is that in the championship?
Champions Classic, yeah, in Illinois,
Illinois,
Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
it's going to be great.
get your tickets, everybody.
Yep, that's going to be the game of the year.
Yeah. So get ready, boys and girls. And I think there'll be some guys on that UK team that are willing to prove that they're just as good as
Hey.
all the hype that is coming out over this
Yeah,
guy here.
they might just shut him down.
Yeah. I will also say one of the other things somebody asked me last night, like, why do you think that Jerome Morton, who is a GRC graduate and he went to Moorhead, then he went to Washington State, why he's coming back? I saw a local social media post from Zach Cox, who I follow on social media, and he's a trainer in Central Kentucky, and he was working out with Jerome Morton. So, guys don't work out in places that they don't want to call home. So
Right. Yeah.
that makes me believe that he is probably coming home. I think you'll probably see something come across the wire today or tomorrow. Absolutely no reason to be down on the University of Kentucky program other than, it would have been fun to have Tyran Stokes in that uniform, but we don't, and we'll just have to move on.
Move
go from
on.
there.
Yeah.
That's right. And just like everything else in life, tomorrow the sun will shine, Craig, just like it did today, and
Yeah.
everything will move on. It's just you
Just
may be
keep a positive attitude
Right.
towards the team.
Absolutely. And
That's all you
listen,
gotta do.
listen, fans, you have the ability over the next 6 months to make or break this fan base, and let's really push to lift these guys up and do what we can to really support them in all that they do. They are good stewards while they're at the university. They do a lot of community service stuff, and they win ball games, and they're fun to watch. So that'll be
Well, and it might be that the fans kept some of these players away.
good.
So we can change that this year, being more positive to the team, thinking twice about putting those negative posts out there that other coaches and recruiters can use against us. Let's see if we can end that now
Yeah.
and support the heck out of this team.
The weather's going to be nice over the next couple of days. Go out and touch grass.
Yeah.
Get outside of your mom's basement and touch some grass. And let's not stay too down on
I'm in
this
the
team.
basement right now.
Let's hit the accelerator, and we will move on from there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight.
Announcement.
Okay, let's hear it.
Thursday, we're signed on with having Will Rhodes, the Franklin County PVA, to talk about property assessments that are hitting everybody's mailboxes this week.
And I think while he won't talk about specifics, I'm sure he will talk about what the process is and what is going on with that. I know there's a lot of people that have a lot of questions, so you guys join us so we can discuss
And
what all
repeal and the appeal process too.
Yeah, he's going
to talk about that.
He's going to talk about the appeal process. So if you get one of those in the mail, you can go through that process to discuss how to get that reassessed. So Thursday, make sure you join us. It'll be a fun discussion. He'll probably, knowing Will, he'll probably stick around and talk about some of the other fun stuff with us as well. So I appreciate you guys watching us. If you get anything out of this show, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. It's not only important to us, but it also pushes it out to other people so they can join us for our discussions every single weekday at 5 p.m. I am joined with my friend Craig Blanton, and I am Kyle Thompson. I want to thank you guys for joining us. We will catch you guys tomorrow at 5 p.m. See you guys. Thanks for joining us.